Chip here on the chain. Welcome, everybody. Jeff is away tonight. We got a lot to unpack tonight. First off, crypto blockchain gaming blowing up, man, blowing up. Super excited about this too. And there's a Ripple partner making some more waves. You got to follow these Ripple partners because they're always doing something pretty interesting and unique. And then, of course, we have banks going to send out loans against crypto assets. What kind of crazy town sorcery is that? We're about to find out. Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Yes. Okay. Let's get going, guys. Let's get going a lot. So drop in the chat, or if you're in the comments on the rewatch, drop in where you're from. City, country. Drop in city, country, and then tell me what is your favorite digital asset. Hey, anything you want, put it in the chat. Drop it in the chat and down below. So I'm happy to check out it all. Right? Maybe I'll be enlightened. Maybe you guys will drop something in there I haven't really seen a lot of. So tonight, there's a lot of stuff going on, but I wanted to kind of start off with some XRP Ripple related news, just because it's always fun to kind of jump in there. And as we're doing this, I'm going to go ahead and share this video. Now, none other than superstar hero is what I like to call him. Superstar hero John Deaton was he appeared on the Paul Barron network. Paul does some really solid interviews. Let's face it, he's no Tony Edward, but he's pretty good. Okay, I will just say that much. He's pretty solid, and I enjoy his stuff a lot. So let's watch this. I'm going to throw this up right here. Actually, let's go full screen on this, and I've put it up to one of the parts that I wanted to. That we get a lot of chatter in here. People are always like, when is there going to be a settlement? Chips are going to be a settlement. Jeff, what about a settlement? What about a settlement? Settlement. That's all we hear about is settlements. So let's jump in really quick here. Let's look at this. We'll dive in the shallow end for maximum impact. But let's go check this out. So there's Paul Barron, good guy, does a lot of great interviews. I like to watch a lot of interviews. Plus, he's got a pretty nice damn setup. He's got some. He's got like a video wall behind him. Of course, he's got a MacBook computer right there, which is always a good solid sign, at least the way I look at it. Now, guys, you got to tell me in the chat if you don't hear the sound. Hopefully I shared it, but tell me if you hear sound because Jeff's not here to let me know. But I'm going to play this. This is him asking a pretty important question of attorney John Deaton.
Guide rails of where regulation needs to be, much like they did and treated the internet. You as an attorney, you've had a chance to look at this case from the SEC to XRP. Your opinion right now, obviously you're representing the holders in the class action. Your opinion right now with where the SEC stands on this case. Do you think we're going to see something shake out in terms of the settlement?
Well, I think that what I've said about settlement is that until the SEC is truly faced with a possibility of an adverse ruling, maybe on the fair notice defense, where right. if the judge finds that XRP is not a security, that the SEC did not give fair and adequate notice to the market, if they actually get a ruling and win, that's going to stop Gensler's jurisdictional approach to crypto, because at that point in time, really the SEC would only have jurisdiction over a pure ICO type of offering. But any existing crypto that's been traded for the last 4 or 5 or more years would be able to follow the blueprint of the Ripple case. And so right. I think if the judge rules that the fair notice defense can move forward, which hasn't happened yet, the SEC has moved to strike it. Now the judge simply is going to rule, hopefully, that no, I'm not going to strike that defense. Ripple can argue that, and then we'll see how it shades out. If that happens, then the SEC is faced with, okay, we really have a lot to lose here. And so let's see if we could strike a deal, settle about early sales of XRP in 2013, 2015, get a fine, move forward, and then they can, continue to claim they have jurisdiction over the cryptocurrency market. Until that happens, I think we have to wait, on those type of rulings.
I've seen several analysts, including Jeremy Hogan, who talks a lot about XRP. He's kind of gone in that same direction, is that this is a big scenario that there's going to be a point of almost a point of no return for the SEC in terms of a settlement and being able to, especially what the judge has been doing in terms of really pressuring the SEC to compel a lot of their materials and arguments to be able to present. What are your thoughts about the issue of the judge moving the discovery date even further?
Okay, so that first answer was fantastic, right? So, and I think John gives a really good detailed analysis, and it's kind of not too dissimilar to what we've been saying, but that fair notice that the SEC is trying to strike is going to be the nail in the coffin, right? Because I don't think the judge is going to strike it at all, because you can't let 8 years go by mysteriously. And then, 8 years goes by and you're like, well, I mean, we didn't really know. I mean, it's 8 years we're talking about here. So you might not necessarily know if that's going to be a big deal or not, but that fair notice, the SEC is worried about it. That's why they're looking to strike that. Okay, let's listen on this next question here.
Further back, because that seems to me like it just continues to extend this case.
Well, I was disappointed, but I wasn't surprised, but I was disappointed. In a case of this magnitude, I went on record and I said, people can accuse me of engaging in hyperbole, but I don't believe it is. I view this SEC Ripple case as the most significant SEC enforcement action in modern history. And a case of that magnitude, a couple extensions is just usually going to happen. And I think that I think the judge is just trying to look at it and say, all right, you need 2 more months in the grand scheme of things. In a case of this magnitude, I'm going to give you a fair trial, just like I'm going to give Ripple a fair trial. So disappointed, but I'd be hard pressed to believe there's going to be any other continuances, though. I think that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So that was excellent right there. I mean, there's no doubt that was fantastic. And, again, really much in the same agreement with, where John Deaton's coming from. Also, I saw that Jeremy Hogan got an honorable mention. Did you guys think I was going to play that entire video? That's it. It'd be like, sit back on the chain. We'll play the entire video. Chip will sit back here eating chips and drinking some water. But no, I wasn't going to play that whole video. But I do think it's significant. And I thought I wanted to play just a little bit of that because that comes up so often on here. What about the settlement? And I mean, of course, would we like a settlement? I don't think there's anybody out there that wouldn't want a settlement. I was never against a settlement, but in order for a settlement to happen, you have to have that other little piece of it that says, well, today's XRP, not the one from 2013. No, not that one. Today's XRP, what's happening right here and now, that is not a security. So I think, in terms of that, I think it's a big, big deal. We got another update from John I wanted to throw up here. And I think this is also fantastic because this tells me that we, the people, that's all of us, that's us globally. And the reason I phrase it like that is because it's encompassing of everyone and also part of the Constitution in the U.S. here. But it starts off with we, the people, right? Right. So it's like we got here. So we got connect to Congress. If you guys haven't done this yet, you can connect to Congress. You don't have to be in the U.S. You can be anywhere. But let's have your voices heard. I mean, obviously, getting flooded with emails, getting flooded with this tool is really unique too. And we can put it up here if you guys haven't seen it. But the reason I'm promoting this is because when we say like, well, what can we do? Do I send a tweet on Twitter? This right here is what you do. This is exactly what you do. Why? Because this is powerful. And what I'll do is I'll put the original tweet up here that John sent, and then we'll get to see a little bit. Let's do this right here. So John launched this right here. He said, when I started CryptoLaw, or at CryptoLaw, the goal was to help the individual investor. Many of you in the US have asked how you can make yourselves heard in Congress. Today, I've launched a new feature on CryptoLaw. It's called Connect to Congress, and that's exactly what it is. So let's look at the tweet thread here first before we look in, and then I'll open up this puppy right here. But let's look in over here and connect to Congress. And so the second tweet here says, it's a quick and easy tool. So first of all, you identify the 2 senators and 1 representative, and then you write messages to them. I recommend that every US XRP holder send a message today introducing yourself. Hello, it's Chip. How are you doing? Hope everything's okay. I'd like to tell you a little story, right? You can tell your story. It's your story. Hey, I bought XRP. A friend told me about it. I read about it. I looked up the utility. There was a lot of different ways you could go with this, but bottom line is tell your story and let that be heard. Number 3, let them know who you are, that you care about crypto policy. You're against the regulation by enforcement that's currently happening with the SEC, and that it's time for Congress to step in and set some clear rules. Let them know that you're in regular contact with them about this from here on in. It's up to us, right? That's who it is up to us. And so let me jump up here. So here's the update. Connect to Congress update, slightly more than 5,000 messages, 100 senators contacted, which is all the senators, right? 389 representatives, less than 1% rejected messages because they're professional and they're articulate. The infrastructure bill process demonstrated the power of crypto. We can have an impact here. So this is what's important. Don't be belligerent, but be forthcoming. Hey, it's your story. Tell your story about being a crypto, not only a crypto holder, but exactly how you feel about it. Hey, look, this isn't cool. I'm not about this whole enforcement thing. Why did it take the SEC, 8 years to bring a suit? And look at how I've been impacted. Not only, potentially as a crypto, investor, period, because this has long-reaching ramifications. It's not just about XRP, but talk about your story. I want to hear what you guys, come back over the next coming week here, and I want to see what you guys are talking about, because I want to see exactly what, a couple of things what you said. But hey, I went ahead and I filled it out, and it's pretty simple here. Throw it back up over here. Let's go. So here it is right here. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Here's the Connect to Congress. So you copy, you can pose a message. Here's your subject. There's your message. There's your information, Mr. and Mrs. Non-binary, whatever, first name, last name, home information, whatever. Then you go ahead and boom, you send a message. That's it. Now, based on your location, I think that's how it does it. Yeah, that's how it did it. It's based on your location. So it'll find your 2 senators and your representative based on it's going to be your zip code. It's going to be really key. That's why it's required, because based on your zip code, it does it. So you didn't have to know who they are, but you can just write the message. Pretty simple. I think a lot of you should just go ahead and crush this and just get it done. So with that said, I think that at the end of the day, we're having an impact. We're having a big impact. And let's see. Let me look here. What else do we got here? What else we have in the grab bag? There's a whole bunch of stuff in the grab bag that I wanted to get through tonight. And so there's something interesting going on. There seems to be somewhat of a trend. I saw this tweet that Mark Cuban put out, and I think it's pretty important, and for probably a number of different reasons. But Mark Cuban put this tweet out, and it basically says, wow, 4% of people in the USA have quit their jobs because of crypto gains. Paying attention? Have I got your attention yet? Did I grab your attention? Because of crypto gains, 4% of the US. Now, I bet you that number is potentially bigger in other parts of the world. Why? Because maybe a country that has a smaller population might have 6 or 10% quitting their jobs because of crypto gains. And he goes on to say the vast majority made under $50,000. So look, take a little vacation for a while. If you think about it, it's not a lot, but it's enough for people to say, you know what? I'm going to go on a little break here. And that's why I said the vast majority is under $50,000. Now we know why so many people quit low-paying jobs. And this was before the current run-up. So there's probably a whole ton of those after that. And then this is the article he was basically referring to, where they cite all this data right here. And I will go ahead and make that a little bit bigger there. But crypto is creating newfound wealth and job freedom for many Americans and across the world, really. I mean, and it says whether you're interested in crypto or you understand what it is, there's no denying that over the last year, it's demonstrated staying power. Bitcoin, for instance, as of the time of writing, valued over 61,000 USD. Individual Bitcoin skyrocketed nearly 50% in value from just a month ago. And while some preconceptions that crypto investors envision young and tech savvy individuals. Something popped up over there. I love when that happens. More nuance than that. For example, while crypto wealth is undoubtedly growing, that doesn't necessarily mean any significant portion of people are quitting their jobs as a result. But it goes on to give some more stats in here. We don't have to read them. I think really Cuban sort of summed it up. There was something, a little poll here. Have you or someone you know quit their job at some point over the last year due to financial freedom earned by investing in crypto? It says 4%. Yes, I have. And that's where we're getting a stat from. 4%. Yes, I know someone who has. That's 7% or not at all. But that's kind of where we are adoption wise, which is fine. We're not 100% there yet, but we're getting there. And did you remember seeing articles like this 4 years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago? And that's why I think it's incredibly significant, because it's not something we see as a mainstay. We're actually starting to see more articles, more mainstream stuff, publications or news outlets or places you wouldn't normally expect to see them talking about crypto, digital assets, NFTs, right? NFTs are getting an incredible, enormous amount of people who are coming out of everywhere just to want to experiment in it, or that's their first exposure to crypto, right? They don't know anything about a particular digital asset, but their first exposure was, hey, look at these collectibles. And I can see that too. You know, at some point, I used to collect vinyl. I still have a ton of them back there, but there's the little vinyl figures, they're limited release and all that. Now, we'll get into it a little bit, but if you saw the thumbnail tonight, I'm really, really excited about the crypto blockchain gaming is blowing up. This is a significant for a lot of reasons, because gaming has a bigger market share than a lot of things. Let's say like the movie industry, for example, gaming destroys it numbers wise. And the amount of money that it brings in, it's a massive play. So when you start seeing these types of organizations, companies, and if you remember, it wasn't too long ago that Ripple invested $100 million into Forte, and they said no restrictions. Like, hey, we want to promote the blockchain space. We're not going to say you got to develop on anything. We're not putting restrictions around it, but they really want to promote the gaming on blockchain. And I think that's fantastic. Along the way, other people have come in and say, well, we only want you to develop on our platform. And that's fair too, because but Ripple and that one was a little bit more on the outside of that. So I'm going to open up a couple links here. A Ripple partner making some waves. Again, you got to watch the partnerships that are happening. And I want to just sort of like thread this together. But if you're not paying attention to what these partners are doing, you could miss a lot. There's no doubt you can miss a lot. And so you kind of have to go read between the lines here and there a little bit. But here, this is a Privat Bank switches on instant remittances. I'm going to go ahead and open this up. Let's see. Let's do this right here. Trying to get this stuff set up here. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about a little bit, in an interview with Fortune, Azimo CEO Richard Ambrose said Ripple's XRP product, known as on-demand liquidity, has served the company 30% to 50%, saved the company 30 to 50% when arranging currency transfers between customers in the Philippines and those in the UK and Europe. So that's Azimo. So keep that in the back of your mind right there. And then we see this right here. This right here, Privat Bank switches on instant remittances with Azimo. So this is pretty huge. So now Ukrainians living overseas can send money instantly to their loved ones back home. Now, how often do you hear Jeff and I talk about a story where there's a new corridor for expats to send money back home, just money in general? But again, the remittances is a huge part, usually of almost any GDP. It's usually a pretty solid percentage of it. And one of the things that gets eliminated in a scenario like this are the fees. And that's thanks to a partnership between Azimo, Europe's leading digital money transfer service, and Privat Bank, the largest commercial bank in the Ukraine. So look at that. Largest bank in the Ukraine partnering up with Azimo, who's been a Ripple partner for some time. The Ukraine received a record-breaking volume of global remittances in 2020, $12 billion pouring into the country despite this global pandemic. Nonetheless, many banks still take 3 business days to deliver more money to the country. And I think that's the key thing here, right? Everybody experiences the same problem. 3 days, error prone, 10% error prone on some of these, especially when you're dealing with Swift, you're dealing with bank to bank, and you don't usually find out till it didn't happen. Whoa, 3 days, I lost 3 days. And again, the other thing we're majorly tasked with are the fees. So I wanted to jump to this one here. This is talking about on Ripple's blog, Azimo uses on-demand liquidity for faster international payments into the Philippines. This was a story about the Philippines. And today, what day was this written on? What day do we have here? Oh yeah, so this is earlier. This is actually back in 2020, February in 2020. They talk about their partnership with the European digital money transfer service, Azimo. Now, we've brought up Azimo so many times on the chain here because it's easy to switch them on, right? Why would you go build something when you can just partner with Azimo? In this case, Ukraine's largest bank. You partner with Azimo, you don't have to build it. It's easy. You flip it on, right? You turn it on and it's a lot easier. So in addition to what's happening with Ripple, they're working directly with banks or, financial institutions, but then you got these other companies out there, and there's a lot of them where you have these partnerships springing up where if you partner with Azimo, boom, you now have enabled your entire bank to be able to send these remittance payments. Huge deal. And this is the one that I wanted to jump on right here. And there's Garlinghouse right there. What is he doing? He's talking about. But again, here it is right here. I wanted to blow this up because, and I already mentioned this, but I wanted to blow it up because this is key. In an interview with Fortune, here, let me make this bigger here. What am I doing here? In an interview with Fortune, Azimo CEO Richard Ambrose said using the XRP product known as on-demand liquidity saved the company 30 to 50%. Now, 30 to 50% is a massive amount of money, especially when you're trending upwards about 50% when you're doing currency transfers between customers. Now, this is dealing directly and citing the Philippines and those in the UK and Europe, but you can imagine that it's going to happen everywhere. So now you get a big partnership with Ukraine's largest bank. And what do you have? You have another huge, massive savings going on. And that's just the kind of stuff that occurs, which is, again, really incredible. And I saw Stuart Adderley, who is general counsel of Ripple, saw him tweet this out, and it's pretty cool. It's a neat article about regulation, but it's not in the normal place you'd see it. Is it in Fortune? No. Is it in Yahoo News or Money or any of these other places? No, not at all. It's the fun kids over there at TechCrunch, and I wanted to pull this up and discuss a little bit of this here. So you have rational. Now, there's a nice word, rational. Not crazy. Rational regulation. And all of a sudden, when I hear rational, the first thing that I don't think of is the SEC chair, Gary Gensler, because I would refer to him as irrational, right? Talking about clarity. It's an investment contract. It's so clear. That's what Gary talks about a lot. But let's phrase this article, which is rational regulation is key to U.S. competitiveness in the fintech race. And absolutely 100% spot on. And what they talk about here is says, while Tesla invested $1.5 billion in Bitcoin, Gary Gensler, the chairman of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, called the crypto space the Wild West. Meanwhile, in China, the government created its own digital currency while abruptly canceling the IPO of its most well-known fintech firm, Alipay, for regulatory reasons. Did they really cancel it for regulatory reasons, or do you guys see a little bit something more nefarious behind that? It seems you don't want the fintech competing with the, you don't want another outlet, right? So an Alipay is massive. It's not only massive in China, but it's massive around the world. And it's enough to give the casual observer whiplash. What's happening here? So with all the focus on this great technology race between the US and China, very little attention has been paid to an area with enormous implications. Who will lead the innovation and therefore controlling the technology behind international payment systems? The race matters for two reasons. First, Western countries' leadership in international payments allows them to enforce sanctions against bad actors like Iran and North Korea. Second, if the West leads in fintech, it can set reasonable world standards for this new field, such as protecting the environment, preventing illicit cross-border transactions, and consumer privacy and blah blah blah. Right. So, in addition to these Chinese private sector companies innovations, the Chinese government also developed the world's most advanced central bank digital coin, completed over 70 million transactions, totaling over 5 billion in revenue. Now, what they don't talk about in this article is they kind of conveniently leave out that, oh, it's blockchain, it's programmable, and we're going to dictate how this is spent. So we're going to be the ones in control here. We're going to let you know exactly what you can do with that. Because what's next in the cards? Like, well, you go to the doctor says, hey, you can't drink anymore. You can't drink alcohol. You can't drink soda. So you're out there with your phone, wanting to buy a beer, hard day, end of work. You scan your phone. Weird. Your money doesn't work. Your digital currency, your digital, yuan doesn't work. What happened? Well, this is the kind of thing that I see in the cards. Will it happen? Is it happening now? Well, we certainly know about social scores. If that is, and what do you think the kind politicians out there would love to get their hands on a social score? We're going to score you as an individual. Do you say mean things on Twitter? Not good. Did you eat the wrong things? Are you destructive to the environment? Whatever it might be. I'm just giving you guys some examples. But this is where I kind of see this going. And I can see that it could potentially blow up and turn into a massive thing. But who knows, right? It remains to be seen. CBDC is not inherently bad. The execution could potentially be a disaster. But we have to sort of wait and see. And then there might be some things we're not even aware of, because guess what? Here's the deal. It's not blockchain. It's not cryptocurrency, right? So if there's no transparency, well, the jury's going to be out forever. And what's really happening behind the scenes? That's kind of where, we're headed with all of this. And it's a pretty long article. I don't want to get into the whole thing, but I thought it was a really interesting take in TechCrunch, well thought out, and the execution of it was really good. Talk about sanctions, talk about environmental regulations, and that's where we see stuff like XRP and some other digital assets coming into play, and really taking the reins really when it comes to over Bitcoin, which utilizes a lot of power. Now, I'm not personally concerned about that. But again, I'm just pointing out where some of the key issues lie and why we hear so much and so deeply about them. And then this today, let's for another little topic here, let's go into this. David Schwartz has probably one of the greatest sense of humor, but the other thing I like about him is he's quite the observer, right? He has a way of looking at something or tweeting something, and he'll put like a couple words, a one word, and then the entire community goes nuts. So he threw this up here today, and I thought this was fantastic. So if you guys can see this right here, this is, you roll that up a little. He says, awesome, right? So that right there is an ANA, I don't know how to pronounce ANA, an ANA jet that is absolutely retrofitted. It's got a beautiful paint job on it, and it looks like Star Wars, one of the Star Wars, it's got the, if you look at the cockpit, it's all decked out in some gray and orange with the big Star Wars logo on it. Really, really cool. But the community went a little bit nuts, right? They're like, oh my gosh, what does this mean? What's the secret thing behind this? And then if you look here, Mark Phillips, who's been on the show recently, is 2 weeks ago. He's like, yeah, ANA has the best paint job. So look at this one here. This is an Airbus. Looks like it has a eyes on it. It looks like a turtle. It's got the little smile on the front of it, tortoise shell, and it's got in tow two little guys behind there. Look like two little turtle kids, if you will, and it's fantastic. Just a really nice thing. But it also set off people because they were looking for all of these secret messages. What does it mean? There was one here. Let's see. This is XRP Stewie right here, and he's going in there. Wow, there's something right there on the top of the pick. Is this 187 or one up? Check it out. So again, people looking for hidden messages inside of there, but he zoomed in on that, and he's saying there's a 187. What's going on there? And I quite honestly don't. I think David Schwartz is just pointing stuff out. And here's another one. So there's like something written there, and this is XRP, right? Look, it's just, you can make it look like anything you want. So it's 787. Yeah. So it's at 789, not 589, which I actually like better. So yeah, that's pretty good stuff from our pal David Schwartz. So yeah, that's some really good stuff. And I don't know if I saw 187 in the sky, but who really knows? Another big development, and kind of tease this up front too, is that, we always talk about, Jeff's famous thing is who's gonna capture some market share? Who's going to be in charge of the acquisitions? Is it going to be the exchanges doing a buyout of a bank, something like an FTX, right? A blockchain-based company that goes and acquires like a JP Morgan, Chase, something along those lines? Or is it going to be the other way around? And certainly we've seen a lot of acquisitions on the big bank side, right? Getting involved in crypto. We've seen Jamie Dimon famously say, I hate Bitcoin. Meanwhile, they were working on their own coin. They're doing a lot of other stuff there. That's why I don't really pay attention to too much he says. But this right here, this is a potential big, and then we just saw something in Australia. But in the US, we've got the Bank of America Chief Operating Officer, crypto could add value to banks. Now, this is one of the first times we've ever really heard that a digital asset could add value. We've sort of seen a lot of people speaking out, like, if we don't get with it, from banks, we're going to be hammered, we're going to be crushed, we're going to be destroyed. But this is a little bit of a different take. The executive says at Chainalysis hosted event that he still has questions about the stability of crypto asset stablecoin. So he's calling about that. But Montag, the chief operating officer, said he doesn't view crypto industry as a competitor to banks. Now, again, this is sort of a fresh take because all we've really seen is more the competition side, but he doesn't view it as competition, but rather another asset class that people can see value in. All right, fair enough. And then he also went on to say, so bank is considering its involvement in the crypto space from lens of fiduciary with $3 trillion of assets under management, the chief operating officer explains. And as Bank of America, of course, we know they've got a patent out there that we have seen, right, that's been filed with the U.S. Patent Office that does mention not only Ripple, but XRP. As Bank of America began looking more into crypto space, the bank's chief operating officer says he believes certain characteristics of the blockchain and crypto could add this massive value. And he believes that some things are happening now in the technological jump that allows banks to be more efficient, have less errors, be more compliant. Now, if I had to ask you, what do you think he's talking about there? Look at the buzzwords, right? He believes that the technological jump that allows banks to be more efficient, have less errors. What are we talking about? Well, less errors. We're not talking about the SWIFT system, right? We can be pretty clear about that. Very error prone, 10 to 11% errors, especially in the cross-border payment, and more compliant. Bank of America's COO, Tom Montag, said about crypto during this event. He says, so we look forward to figuring out a way to best use it and have it to be part of the system. What? So here we have a bank chief operating officer. They're usually in charge of the day-to-day operations, where the chief executive officer is really more of the company's direction. But the other, someone like a Tom Montag, he runs the daily operation of what and the different departments and things that are going on. Bank of America officially launched its crypto research division last month, led by Alkesh Shah, the bank's head of global cryptocurrency and digital strategy. So you can see that Bank of America is sort of positioning itself, at least here in the US, they're positioning themselves and getting out there in front of it, especially having the CEO talk at a conference that's blockchain based, getting out there talking about what the bank is doing in the realm, right? As far as blockchain is concerned. Company released a report called Digital Assets Primer, only the first inning, in conjunction with the launch. And it notes that 220 million people have purchased or sold crypto as of June 2021. Now that is up 66 million from May of 2020. That's big. And I think really 2021 was a breakout year for a lot of reasons. I mean, breakout in terms of adoption, in terms of companies out there that are using it. But from the bank side of things, this is just like a massive development right here. Now, this next one is the one that got me going, because it's something that I probably wouldn't have expected a big bank. Bank of America, I think, is like the third biggest consumer bank, second or third. I know Wells Fargo is one of the biggest ones, and I'm not talking about the big institutional banks, but I'm just talking about consumer-based banks. But this one right here, this one really got me going and thinking. Here we go. And lending against crypto assets, a possibility. Let me say that again. They're talking about taking loans against crypto assets. This is an incredible sort of a move for a bank, and it's a pretty bold statement for a bank to make. So when asked by Chain Analysis CEO Michael Groninger about crypto companies and protocols offering loans against crypto assets, Montag said, he believes there's certain things that probably need to happen before Bank of America could enter that space. So, we knew the Brooks, who was in charge of the Office of the Comptroller, one of the big things that he instituted a year ago, last summer, not this past summer, the one previous, was that banks could custody crypto. I believe that's still in effect, although we have a new OCC person who's been nominated, which would be absolutely devastating. If you think Gary Gensler's bad, this is Gary Gensler times 1,000. That's how bad this is. And we don't need somebody rolling back what Brooks has already put in place. Says even in stocks, he said the CEO explained that the bank currently lends against art houses, boats, and even railroad cars. He noted that if the crypto market shows more stability and less volatility, the bank could consider that in the future. Even in stocks, people could lose a lot of money lending money against stocks. So you can see why people get nervous about exactly what they're lending against and how do they make sure we have it. And certainly we have seen, or maybe you might even know somebody that got liquidated because they were unable to top up because they took a crypto loan, and then you saw a flash crash in the marketplace. And that's why it's not really necessarily the volatility. And again, this is one of the reasons that, and again, I don't promote a lot of this exchange or that exchange, but I do like a lot of the approach. But on Celsius, one of the things Alex Mashinsky talks a lot about is they don't allow, they sort of like limit what's going on there. They don't really want the volatility. They don't want people to get hurt, which I think is a very good thing. And he does get into stable coins a little bit, which, there seems to be an all-out assault on stable coins out there. And he does get a little bit into that, but he says, hey, if the Fed had a stable coin, you'd be pretty comfortable. Not this guy. I would not be comfortable at all. I'm not looking forward to it. A little bit concerned about it. Not that I want fiat necessarily to go away, but digital fiat I'm a little concerned about, because that's what they really ought to call it. Call it digital fiat, because that's really what it is. If someone else had a stable coin, you'd be less comfortable. If it's stable and it's better and people feel comfortable with it, it would be good for the economy. Yeah, the stable coins, crypto, CBDCs, no. So make that distinction right there. That I'm not comfortable with. Stable coins, yeah, potentially, yes. So I didn't want to misspeak there. I was really thinking in terms of not stable coins, but digital fiat, or what we would call the CBDCs. So again, nice stuff coming out from a bank. Now for a little bit of a departure here. I saw this today, nearly lost it. This was fun because it features two of the bigger personalities out there in the crypto space. Let's see here. Let me see if I can get to this. My computer's having all kinds of fun stuff happen here tonight, of course. But let me throw this up here. Let's go ahead and load this up. Computer's having some issues. But this is none other than our boy Pompliano and BitBoy Armstrong. So here we are.
220 million.
Let me put this up large so we can actually see it. There we go. So you got Pomp. You got Ben Armstrong over there. You got BitBoy versus Pomp versus BitBoy. This is fun. Let me make sure I've got the volume pumped up on this puppy. I do. So let's listen in.
Bitcoin is going to 20 million, Pomp.
Hold on. No. See, that's a lie. 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 That's a lie.
Titles to get people to click on the videos.
That's a lie. That is a lie. That is a lie. I did not say that.
Does that?
I did not say that. That's a lie. I did not say that.
Your thumbnail did, Pomp. My thumbnail said XRP to 589. Your thumbnail said Bitcoin to 20 million. What is the difference? There isn't one. There is not a difference, Paul. And you're out here trying to spin this and trying to make me look like an idiot when you're the one that's doing the exact same stuff. It's hypocritical.
Yeah, so that is pretty interesting, right? He's like, no, it's a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie. But then he, you know, so this one, BitBoy got a little bit of, I have to say, he kind of went up a little bit in the, got a little bit of, I don't know, he went up a little bit in my book because, not that I don't like the guy, but he comes up and he says, you know, wait a minute, you've been doing this forever. You've been putting this stuff. He goes, everyone in the space puts this on their thumbnails. He goes, I said XRP to 589, but you said Bitcoin to 500 million or $20 million or whatever like that. As soon as he said that, he didn't say that he said it. He said that he puts that on his thumbnails. And then as soon as he said that, you saw Pomp, our boy Pomp, kind of look to the side, start laughing because he nailed him. He had it. And it's a great clip. Let's just watch that little bit again here.
Not say that. That's a lie. I did not say that.
Your thumbnail did, Pomp.
Your thumbnail said it. Look at him. He's like rabid right here.
My thumbnail said XRP to 589. Your thumbnail said Bitcoin to 20 million.
Your thumbnail said to 20 million. I love that. That is just fantastic. Good stuff right there. So, what else do we have here? There's another one. Yeah, that was a pretty good one here. And I want to go ahead. Let's open this other video up here. Now, this one here was tweeted out none other than OTC family member JayV. I'm going to go ahead and pull this video up. I get rid of the other one first. So let's go ahead and remove that puppy. And then I'll go ahead and put this up. But this one right here, again, JayV's been crushing it out there, finding these little bits of videos and assembling them together. And hopefully I can grab this. It didn't look like I was able to. Let's see. So this is Bill Hinman. And JayV, if you're in the chat there, man, nice work, nice find. But I want to throw this up. The sound might be a little on the low side, but let's see. If it is too low, I might be able to continue. And look at this. Hans Loaded says, BitBoy, the XRP supreme leader. Yeah, self-anointed Hans. He's been a self-anointed, which is great. You know, I've anointed myself badass of the universe. That's what Siri refers to me. I'm like, hey, Siri, who am I? And she'll be like, badass of the universe. You know, you can say anything you want, but I'm not out there telling people I'm badass of the universe. It's just what I want Siri to call me because it's fun. You know, it sounds like a fun thing to do. So let's listen in here.
Last summer, spoke a little bit more about how we were looking at some of the more decentralized and seasoned digital assets like Bitcoin and Ether on the Ethereum network. And we made it very clear that at this point we don't see a reason to regulate those as securities or transactions in those instruments as securities at this point. I know we're going to get into more detail on this, but that was another part of our exercise.
Okay, wait a minute. Did we just hear Bill Hinman say we don't see a need to regulate Bitcoin and Ethereum? Nice work, JayV. Did he not say that? So what actually happened when he was tested, or at least did a deposition? Was he speaking as a personal opinion? Someone, you know, this is the thing that I have. When they start using the we did this and we did that. Well, who's we? You be a Bill, your family? No. This is we is the XRP. I mean, is the SEC. Man, that was a weird sort of an anomaly there, but exactly, right? So let's listen in a little bit more to what he has to say here, because when you got to remember that the internet is forever. And if it's on video, there's no denying that you said it. So let's go and listen to a little more here.
In terms of making it clear to the market how we look at these instruments. And then more guidance. The idea is a plain English instrument that people can look at, and it will bring together sort of my Howie meets Gary speech and that analysis, the Howie and Gary Plastics case analysis, and it will elaborate on that in a very plain English way. So, you know, do I think I have a security offering? Look at that new guidance, and I think, you know, you should be able to sort this out. If it's unclear after going through that guidance, there's going to be a very easy way to reach us.
Oh, okay. So if it's unclear after going through the guidance, huh? Well, it's starting to seem really clear to me, Mr. Hinman. It sounds to me like you got some splaining to do, because he's like, if it's not clear after going through the guidance, well, what guidance is that, Bill? Yeah, so it's interesting to hear how him in talking now, isn't it?
And get more guidance directly.
It goes on. We have published this speech on our website, and they are all there. I would encourage you to look at it. And again, no one of those factors is meant to be dispositive, but you should be considering all those as you're trying to structure coins. And if you're trying to eventually get to the point where it wouldn't be viewed as a security, I think all those factors will be relevant. So thank you very much.
The director of our division of corporation finance is a man named Bill Hinman, who did he gave a speech where he laid out, here's how we think about this, and gave a set of principles that the market can.
You guys getting this? Here's how we think about this. Well, who's we? It's obviously the SEC, right?
Can follow in understanding, here's how you know if you have a security or if you don't. Now, we haven't answered every particular question, but we've answered a lot.
Personally, to me, the most we just put out some guidance on this a week or two ago. The most helpful thing, I think, our director of corporation finance, Bill Hinman, gave a speech about a year and a half ago that describes this. You might know the speech I have in mind. Let me just quickly summarize the intellectual problem and tell me if you disagree. The intellectual problem is, to the degree that you sell a token that is meant to let somebody use existing infrastructure, many times in our past we have assumed or concluded that that's not a security. Let me give an example.
Let me give an example. So there again, he goes ahead and he references the whole idea of, by the way, Bill Hinman gave a speech. Now he's talking a year and a half on, right? It's not like it happened last week. So a really nice job, JayV, of assembling those clips. Been fantastic. And look at this. Oscar says this, and I agree fully. He says, it's been cleared from the beginning. If it looks like a duck, swims like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck, right? So, and that's exactly spot on right there. Here's Randy. Lapel says, hey, it sounds like nerds arguing in the library over asteroids versus Galaga. Same team, guys. Let's not focus on lose focus of the real issue, that we all need to stay united on clarity. Yeah, I agree with that. And does Robert Jackson ever hold his head still? No. When I watch my videos, like if I'm fast forwarding, my head's going all over the place. I don't know. I move my head a lot when I talk. I don't know what it is. Jeff is like static the entire time and only his lips move. But, you know, usually I've got this restless leg syndrome, which sometimes you'll see me kind of rock back and forth once in a while. I'm not shaking. It's just that my leg's going like this, and something I've done since childhood. So yeah, sometimes old habits are very tough to break. And then we've got this one here by DK. It says Gensler should go after Pelosi and the rest of Congress for insider trading. There's all kinds of stuff that is insane out there. So we talked a little bit about this the other night, but I wanted to throw this up here. Instead of harassing the standard XRP, right, exactly. So it is the standard. That's what we refer to it as. But let's go ahead and take a look at this story, because we brought this up, the whole rug pull with the Squid game token here. That got a lot of people excited because they thought it had something to do with the Netflix, I don't know, call it a movie, but it was, the series. That's what it was. And Binance is trying to find the scammers behind the Squid game token. So again, we talked about this. If you're moving stuff, you're putting it into a wallet, you've at some point you filled out some KYC, AML, something along the lines. That's the thing about blockchain. They're probably going to find them, and they have to, because they can't allow this kind of diabolical scheme to happen. It's really not a good look. It says crypto exchange Binance has said it's trying to hunt down the scammers behind the infamous Squid game cryptocurrency. And like we found out about last night, we brought this up again last night, but Daniel Keller from Casino Coin said, yeah, it was worth a lot of money, but again, the liquidity side, they only ended up with 3.3 million. And I don't want to say only, but the damage could have been a lot worse. And then the very next day, what did we see? That it's trending, which is insane to me, that it was even trending at all, right? And then we've got this one here. This is interesting because I can see that this is probably going to happen more frequently, but I wanted to throw this up here. This is, let's see, let me share my screen here. Now you can get your paycheck deposited into Coinbase, right? So there you go. It's like, get your paycheck deposited into Coinbase. Now, here, at least in the States, with something called direct deposit, for years, 25 years, you could basically give your bank routing number, and you don't have to go cash a check at the bank. You know, if you have an employer and they give you, you know, they pay you, they can pay you, and pretty much it goes direct to your bank, and you can set up several accounts. So what this allows people to do is over the next few weeks, they're saying we're rolling out the ability for customers in the U.S. to deposit their paycheck into Coinbase to more easily make crypto trades, spend on Coinbase card, earn crypto rewards, and more. You get paid in crypto or in U.S. dollars. I can see this gaining a lot of traction. Also, it says get easy and zero fee access to crypto. Many reasons why customers make frequent transfers into Coinbase, so you can make a short or long-term investment to earn interest on yield generating assets and to fund everyday purchases. So you could actually allocate, let's say you want to allocate 10 or 15% of your salary could go directly to Coinbase, and now it's liquid, and you can go ahead and buy any crypto that you want. So you don't have to go through any extra steps, you know, waiting or purchasing. But again, it might be a good strategy to be able to make sure you're always buying crypto, where you make sure that it goes there. But I can see something like this getting a lot of traction just because I can see it's just easy, right? If you make it easy for people and it makes sense, you could definitely use it. Will the masses use it? I don't know. That the jury's out on that, but I do think it would be pretty interesting to see how that sort of pans out. And then this one here, this was a interesting tweet that was put forth, which is the U.S. Here's the U.S. cities with the most crypto jobs per capita, and some of these were really surprising. So San Francisco makes sense, right? Austin, Texas, we've seen Elon Musk, a lot of things move over there. You got a lot of the miners that left China are there. New York City, of course, Miami. That's the one that I care the most about. You've got Denver, you've got Raleigh, North Carolina, Salt Lake City, Utah, Portland, Oregon, and this one here, Rochester, New York, not too far from where I grew up, and then Albany. So you got out of all this batch right here, you've got a couple of them, you got 3 of them in New York alone. And I'm like, we need to see more Miami. I want to see Tampa in this list. I want to see a lot of things on this list. So this is pretty cool. And then the one story that I wanted to get to, which I thought I would get to a little bit sooner, but this one right here is absolutely outstanding because whether you're a gamer or not, I think you'll recognize just the amount of excitement around blockchain gaming. And this one is no different here. So we have Mythical Games nets 150 million in funding from Andreessen Horowitz. Obviously, you know, they were early investors in Ripple. The NFL, that's the National Football League. And of course, you know, Michael Jordan, who was famous Chicago Bulls, 5 or 6 time champion. And also Michael Jordan, in addition to having Air Jordans, has been a phenomenal investor, has made a lot of money. And now you can see a lot of it's turning to crypto. The Blankos Block Party developer, which is a really cool little game developer, is now valued at $1.25 billion as it readies its Mythical platform to bring more crypto games to life. And there's also a component where you can go in there and do your own game, which I think this is the Blankos right here. This game is wild looking. I've started downloading it, but it's pretty amazing. That's the Block Party by Mythical Games. What did I want to get into? So yeah, they announced the new $150 million Series C funding round. It values the firm at $1.25 billion, marking another. And I'll tell you what, I think that's really small. So if you look at 150 million at almost 1.5, you know, they're taking roughly all of these, depending on who put the most in, you know, you're roughly about 15% or so, give or take a little bit. That's me doing math on I'm sure somebody will correct me in the chat, but that's them taking that percentage. And we don't know how they've structured the, the shares and anything like that. But the latest round packed with big names, right? So you got major VC firm, Andreessen Horowitz, also participation from exchanges like FTX, which is in everything, Binance, D1 Capital, Redbird Capital, the Rain Group. So you have a lot of investors making up that big one. And this Series C includes participation in the National Football League's investment arm, 32 Equity. So I find that pretty interesting as well. You got mainstream, you have regular gaming, which is online gaming, which is very different from traditional gaming with, American football Major League Baseball, that's another association that they have. Of course, NBA legend Michael Jordan. You got the Kraft Group of that's the owner of the New England Patriots, an American football team. Michael Gordon of Fenway Sports Group, that's the Boston Red Sox. Chainsmokers, Mantis VC investment firm, and singer Ryan Tedder with One Direction. So you see, look at all these celebrities, look at all the money pouring in to gaming. This right here is phenomenal, and we're going to see a lot more. Now, next time we check in, I don't know, let's say 6 months down the road, 7 months, a year down the road, I can see these guys easily. Mythical platform could easily be valued somewhere in the neighborhood of $5, $10, $15 billion, because they're going to start, hitting some earnings. They're starting to make a lot of money. You're going to watch that rise very, very quickly. But again, a real company, they're on their Series C round, and they're starting to get a lot of traction. I love stuff like this. I think this is absolutely phenomenal. And I'm really quite excited about it, no doubt. Yeah, later, Sophie. Take care. Really appreciate it. Okay, so what else? There's couple more stories here that I wanted to just jump into before we get out of here. And we heard a lot about Mark Zuckerberg, right? We heard Zuckerberg talk about his metaverse, the metaverse. He did that 4-hour long introduction to the metaverse. The best part about that was somebody sent a tweet out, and they said this was the best part of the Zuckerberg metaverse rollout. And it was when he was standing there over his shoulder, I should say over there, back there, it would be like if you saw a little barbecue jar. That was like somebody said that was the most interesting thing. Barbecue sauce. It's pretty much it. And Enjin wants to, this is another great story, because again, whatever you can do in this world, which is centralized, you can do in this world over here, which is what? Decentralized. Decentralization equals freedom. And here we are right here. You've got Enjin. They want to decentralize the metaverse with a new $100 million fund. Not small change. The Affinity Metaverse Fund will focus on seed equity investments for projects building Affinity blockchain gaming platform Enjin, establishing a new fund to support the development of the metaverse ecosystem and make it more decentralized. Enjin's a startup behind the non-fungible token focused blockchain Affinity. It formed a $100 million fund to support Affinity adopters, as well as other related projects, and the startup announced on Thursday. And it says, now is the time for us to turn this into an official, public, and conscious piece of our growth strategy. Support a free, open, and decentralized metaverse. Now that right there is music to my ears. Free, open, decentralized metaverse. Not the one that IBM's building, not the which could have some blockchain elements to it because they are steeped pretty heavy in blockchain, but the one that Facebook or Meta is now talking about, their metaverse, I don't really see it. And it says, adding that will be a considerable equity investments in seed fund runnings and token purchases to nurture this phenomenal ecosystem. So again, really solid stuff. And then we've got this last one I want to end on right here, but we've got this one here from zerohedge, which I will blow up for you guys. It says, Morgan Stanley, the growing stablecoin market, now 137 billion in market cap versus roughly 20 billion just a year ago. Look at that massive, amazing growth from 20 billion to 137 billion in just a year, 12 months. It could end up being a vast source of deposits for the banking industry, right? So again, another phenomenal sort of take and look at what can potentially happen out there. Where is it going to be in another year? Is it going to be around? Are we going to see the SEC and Gary Gensler, he's renamed it, the value stablecoin. It's like, if we call it something different, maybe people want us. I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. We notice everything. We know exactly what's going on. We're not that silly. We're not that stupid. And I would just say, the first time, please like and click that subscription and also click that notification bell. And pretty simple. You can just basically go click the like and then go ahead and subscribe. Why not give us a shot? Jeff's not here tonight, but I'm here solo, holding down the fort. Jeff will be back on Saturday morning, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Saturday, coming from an undisclosed location. I don't even know where the disclosed location is because it's been undisclosed. So that's why I don't know. And then we'll be back Sunday through Thursday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And I look forward to seeing you guys, as always, the OTC family, one of the best, smartest people community in crypto. You guys are just amazing, especially put in the chat. I see the comments. A lot of times they're just too busy bloviating, but you guys do have a lot of great things to say. And that part of it is it's outstanding. And I just realized that I'm on Wi-Fi, which is why I've been having issues. It's funny how I just noticed that now, but for some reason I was on Wi-Fi. But anyway, better late than never. But that's why I was having a little bit of freezes. Now I'm direct connect. So that's all I have for tonight. Jeff and I will be back on Saturday morning. Again, back on Sunday. That's all I have. You guys have yourself a terrific weekend. But today, have a great weekday. And I will see you on the next one. Chip out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.